You got to be walking to the ring thinking, I'm going to take care of business here. It doesn't matter how muscly you are, you got to have confidence. 34 professional fights, 92 in total with my amateur, and not once I walked to the ring thinking I was going to lose. My dad said, don't shoot your bloody mouth off, boy, you just do your best. And that's what I do my whole life. I'm definitely no scholar, but I just make the right decisions. I work hard and surround myself with good people. We all have setbacks, eh? That's all part of life. You're going to fail, you're going to have little hiccups and all that, but that's all good. Just dust yourself off and just keep going. I went from drinking 6 nights a week to training 6 nights a week. I had respect for the sport and I had no reason to try and prove myself no more. Once I started boxing, I'm thinking, man, I've got nothing to prove. I was the major underdog. How the hell can you beat the guy who beat you? I'm thinking, I'll show you what I'm capable of doing.
My name is Kyla Colbin. You're listening to my interview with Shane Cameron, and this is the Hunger and Heart Podcast. Enjoy the show. Hello, my name is Kyla Colbin, and welcome to episode 31 of Hunger and Heart, a podcast on the intersection of wild ambition and fierce compassion. My guest today is former boxer Shane Cameron, known as the Mountain Warrior. Shane was the Commonwealth cruiserweight champion and held the WBO Oriental, WBO Asia Pacific, and IBF Pan Pacific titles. Today, he's a businessman. His ventures include the Shane Cameron Fitness Gym and the Counterpunch boxing range. In this conversation, we talk about his rural upbringing and what it was like to feel like, in his words, the dumbest kid in school. We talk about the fight of the century and what he regrets about his behavior in the lead up to that event. And we talk about the depression he suffered following his world championship attempt with Danny Green and how he managed to come back from it. So here you are, my conversation with Shane Cameron. I'm particularly excited for this conversation because boxing is a sport that's near and dear to my heart and one that I've gotten so much joy and love out of. And I feel like a lot of people don't necessarily get to see that side of it. I got to hang out with, and I say spar, but you'll understand that I was sparring. He was not sparring in any way with Razor Ruddock. Do you know Razor Ruddock?
Yeah. Fuck, he's a fucking big heavyweight. There's actually a poster in the gym here of Tyson and Razor Ruddock, doing the stare down before the poster.
Mm-hmm.
That was my division, the heavyweights. I sparred I and Mike Tyson in Phoenix, Arizona in 2005. So when you come to New Zealand, so I spent 2 weeks with Mike sparring, and that was a massive experience for me.
What was it like? Tell me about it.
Oh, it was an experience that it made me who the fighter who I become. You think about, you have experiences like that give you confidence. I did all right against Mike. He didn't knock me out, and after 2 weeks, I'm thinking, if I can survive sparring with Mike, we would have done probably 35, 40 rounds. If I can survive those rounds with Mike, I'm not intimidated by no one, so, and in the fight game, you got to be confident, and if it doesn't matter how pretty you look, how muscly you are, how good you talk and all that sort of stuff, you got to be able to fight, but then you got to have confidence. You walk into the ring, you got to be walking to the ring thinking, I'm going to take care of business here. You're not going to walk to the ring and thinking, oh man, I hope I win. Or if you hope you win, well, you might as well carry on, go back to your changing room, so, professionally, I had 34 professional fights, and I had 92 in total with my amateur, and not once I walked to the ring thinking I was going to lose, so I've always been very confident in that space, but unfortunately you don't win them all, but great career, and Mike, spending time with them, but actually surviving the rounds, just gave me a heap of confidence. How
did that come about? That you got to spend time with him?
Yeah, I was involved with the Warriors, the Warriors, the rugby league team in New Zealand. I was managed by the CEO at the time, Mick Watson, and then he was very well connected. He was Australian himself, and he knew Jeff Fennick, who was the coach of Mike Tyson at that time. So yeah, they connected the dots, and then we flew over and sparred I and Mike Tyson in Phoenix, Arizona.
And what was he like?
Yeah. Interesting guy, because when we first walked into the gym and I'm putting my boots on and I'm thinking, man, this is, lots of stuff going through my head, nerves and excitement and like probably more nerves than anything, as I and Mike Tyson, I'm thinking, oh my God, I'm going to spy the baddest man on the planet. And then, I'm putting my boots on and he walks into the ring. He walks into the gym. The gym was a small, dark, dingy gym, but really hot in Phoenix, Arizona. And he's walking in and he's saying, get the fuck out of my gym, motherfuckers. Get the fuck out of my gym. Fucking. And I'm like, oh shit, what? Well, I'm here to train and spar with you. Get the fuck out of my gym. And he's like angry and all this stuff. But and then all of us, because wherever he went, the paparazzi were following him everywhere. So he was meaning the paparazzi get the fuck out of the gym. So they got out of the gym and then they slammed the roller doors down and then he just walks straight past and goes into his changing room and his coach walks out about a few minutes later. He goes, oh, Mike's in a bad mood today. Shane, you're sparring him first. So that was my first, and then we got in the ring.
Did you talk to him at all before you got in the ring?
Nah. So it's not like you go there, hey, Mike, I'm Shane Cameron. He don't give a shit about who you are, man. Like you're there to do a job, eh? So then I get in the ring and fucking I'm like walking and I know Mike, I've watched Mike so many times and so I just how he operates and and he's walking and he's like walking like in the corner of the ring like a cage time, but he's looking at me the whole time. He's looking at me and I'm thinking, fuck, this is going to happen, man. This is going to happen, and then ding, 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 the bell rings to start the first round and I turn around. My coach puts my mouth guard in. I turn around and he ran across the ring at me, and he's just offloading shots. I think, oh shit, yeah. And then he got me on the ropes, and he was throwing a barrage of punches, and there was like a very clear in my head, even to this day. I think I had to make two decisions: one to like fucking start fight, like stay there and try and cover up, or eventually he'd get through and knock me out, or I can just go back fighting, So I've thought, this is what I'm here for. I'm here to spar. And it was like a fight. It was like a full-on fight, It was just sparring. So after the first round, I thought I'd done 10 rounds of sparring. Honestly, I was so rooted. But yeah, so they said we're going to do 4 rounds this today, but they ended up pulling it after 3.
How long were the rounds?
3-minute rounds. 3-minute rounds. And they said we're going to do 4 today, but they pulled it after 3 rounds and thought, yeah. So that was the first session.
It's enough in the deep end.
Yeah. But nah, man, I just took so much from it, eh? Kylie, you've experiences like that in your life that I needed, and I'm not sure what sort of fighter I might have become outside of that, but, and because Mike speaks with a high-pitched voice, eh? And a lisp, and like we were sparring one other day and he's like, he's trying to knock me out like I've stolen his lunch money, you know what I mean? Like, and he's like, and he catches me with a hook and I catch the hook and then he digs me to the body and he missed my body and he hit me in the groin. And I'm like, oh, hey, Mike, what's the low shots? He goes, sorry, Shane. I'm like, oh, shit, they come out of the baddest man on the planet, yeah. Yeah, so first
it's so incongruous, right? Like you expect this guy, like here's like this super tough badass, like the baddest man on the planet, going like, sorry, like just so not what you're expecting.
Yeah. Oh, I know. Like even because even like the last day when I got him to sign some gloves and that for me, and I'm in the changing room, and he's saying, "You're crazy, motherfucker, Shane. I didn't realize they breed crazy white guys like you down in New Zealand. You're crazy, motherfucker, man. You just keep coming, man. You just keep coming." Yeah. But
can I just ask that feedback that you got from him?
Yeah.
Like I heard you say right at the beginning that one of the things you took away from that experience with him was confidence.
Yeah.
How, like, what I imagine that hearing that from him would have done as much for your confidence as the actual experience in the ring. Like you're like, oh man, like not only did I survive this time and these 35 rounds or however many rounds I went with him, but also like he showed me respect.
Yeah. Yeah, he did. And on that, Kyla, I went to Las Vegas probably 10 years later. I'm in this bar with a mate, and there's another African-American guy there, big guy, and he turned. I start talking to him. He goes, "Oh, you look like a bit of an athlete, man. What do you do?" I said, "Oh, I'm a professional fighter." He goes, are you a fighter? You a boxer? I said, yeah. He goes, oh my God. He goes, my boy's Mike Tyson. I'm like, oh, I'm thinking, oh, sure he is. I said, oh, Mike, I sparred Mike in 2005 in Phoenix. He goes, did you really spar my boy Mike? I go, yeah. He goes, I'll give him a ring. And I'm thinking, nah. And it comes up Mike Tyson on his phone. He's ringing. Anyway, 3 hours go by, not of ringing, but like we're in the bar. I'll catch you later, man. He goes, oh, I'll give you Mike's number. I'm thinking, who the fuck gives out Mike Tyson's number? So I put the number in my mate's phone. I didn't have my phone on me. And I was thinking, oh, so I thought I would just text him. But he'll either remember me or not. I just, hey, Mike, it's Shane Cameron. I'm in town for a couple of days. It'll be cool to catch up. So the next morning, my mate rings, he rings my mate's phone because that was where I texted him from. And he goes, my mate wakes up hungover. He goes, yeah, hello. And he goes, yeah, it's Shane there, man. It's Shane there. And he goes, oh, no, he's in his room. Who's this? He goes, it's Mike Tyson. He goes, what the fuck happened with that Danny Green fight, man? He should have knocked that motherfucker out. So I'm just thinking, he's following my career. That was my Danny Green fight when I fought Danny Green for the world title, and then, so, my mate rings up. He goes, oh, my God, man, you wouldn't believe he just rung my phone, Mike Tyson. He goes, you got to come up and ring him. So I go up and ring him and ring. First thing goes, how you doing, Shane? You all right, man? I go, yeah, I'm a good Mike. How you doing? He goes, yeah, I'm all right. I'm just doing my shows and shit around Vegas and da-da-da. And what the fuck happened with that Danny Green fight, man? You're too strong for that motherfucker. You should have knocked him out. Da-da-da. This is how he talks. I'm thinking, far out. He knew who I was. And I was only like there for 2 weeks. So that was quite a special moment, hey?
That's something you carry in your heart, yeah?
Yeah.
Like, you had this experience, you had this connection, and he had the connection too. It wasn't just like just another guy coming into the gym. It was like somebody who made an impact on him, had a special, like, that's got to feel really good, eh?
Yeah.
I'm very curious about you, though. We're here to talk about you.
Yeah.
And I do want to come back to that Danny Green fight because I've got questions.
Yeah.
I've got lots of questions, but I'd love to get some context, especially for our listeners who maybe are not as familiar with your story.
Yeah.
If you could tell us a little bit about like your upbringing, Cinirozzo, what was it? What give us the Shane Cameron story. Start from the beginning. Yeah.
All right. How much time you got?
I got time. I got time.
Yeah, well, I was brought up in a little place called Cinirozzo, which is a 1 hour drive inland from Gisborne. So it's a country village, literally. It's not a town, it's a village. Pub Cinirozzo consists of a pub and a school. So the main amenities, I suppose, so from a young boy growing up, I knew what I wanted to be was to be a shepherd, was to ride a horse to work every day and muster sheep and cows up and do everything farming. So that was my goal. I never dreamt about doing anything else. Definitely not living in Auckland. Never even been to Auckland at that time, so that was my goal. I wasn't really good at school. Dyslexic ADHD that I found out actually only about 5 years ago. ADHD anyway. I knew I was dyslexic because I just read numbers backwards and all that. So I just put myself in a dumb category. I thought I was a dumb kid, but I knew how to work. And that was about me. So that's why I sort of love farming, because you didn't have to read anything to do farming. You just had to ride the horse to work and just do everything well, and everything that I do to the best of my ability. And I do everything. I don't cut corners, and I make sure I am as best as I can without gloating about it, So my dad told me that. He goes, he said, don't shoot your bloody mouth off, boy. You just do your best. And that's what I do my whole life. Just that's what you do. Just do your best and just be honest, hardworking. And if you're honest and hardworking and you have a goal, man, you can achieve so much in life. And that's a simple thing I work towards, working hard and having a goal. And then so you got targets, and then away you go. You got to be ruthless along the way. When they're in the sport of boxing, you got to be ruthless. But anyway, I sort of got off track. Yeah. So from country, interesting. So I went to high school at sort of 13 for third form, and then I was well out of depth. I didn't really understand what the teachers were trying to teach, and so I did the first 12 weeks, first term, and then did my holidays, and I persuaded my mum and dad to put me on correspondence, homeschooling, so I didn't have to go back to school. And so I did my schooling during the week, and I worked for a farmer up the road, top really good farmer, Mike Sheriff. So I worked for him on the weekends, and then I do my schoolwork during the week. but the schoolwork wasn't getting done that well, I spent half the time daydreaming, looking out the window, and so I had this great idea. I said, "Hey, Mum, come down to the room." And she come down. She goes, "What's up, boy?" I said, "Oh, I want to go and work for Mike Sheriff full time. Can you do my schoolwork?" She's like, "Yeah, okay then." Oh my God, cool, Mum, thank you. So then I'm working for Mike Sheriff full time. Um, yeah, so he was teaching me everything to do with
And
farm.
your mom's doing your homework. Your mom's home doing your homework.
Yeah, she's doing my homework, and then it's funny because I was on Celebrity Treasure Island like 7 years ago, and I shared that story that Mum did my schoolwork, and they showed that on TV. And then Mum rings me the next day. She goes, "What did you tell them I did? Did you? She goes, "What did you tell them I got an A in maths for? Because I got an A in science," something like that. Anyway, yeah. Yeah. No, and that's where it
I love
started.
that your mom, can I just say, I love that your mom just accepted you
Yeah,
for
yeah,
who you were,
yeah,
that your mom was like, I'm not going to try to force you. Like, clearly, this particular type of learning is
mm,
not your jam. This other kind of learning,
yeah,
experiential learning, being out on the farm, being out with the horses, that's your jam. And I'm not going to try to force you to be something you're
yeah.
not.
Yeah. No, she's cool around that. And definitely didn't put pressure on any of us boys. And
Mm,
strangely enough, we've all turned out pretty good. But
nice.
and you have turning points in your life. I was a shepherd, and then I went to go and let my dogs out of the kennel early one morning, and I was 19 years of age, and I thought, oh, one of my dogs had died, and another one they'd eaten some rat poison, and I could still do my work, but it was a turning point. If that hadn't happened, I definitely wouldn't be sitting there talking to you, or wouldn't be a boxer, or I don't know. I'd probably still be farming. Maybe, I don't know. Maybe I was destined for something else, But yeah, so I thought, I want to go to England to do my OE, and for 6 months, and then come home and carry on farming. But yeah, I went to England, and that's how I got into boxing. Yeah, yeah,
Okay, wait. I've got questions in the story. I just want to make sure I'm understanding you correctly. So you're farming. You've got your horse. You've got your dogs. You've got your
yeah,
sheep. You've got the work you're doing for Mike Sheriff, and you wake up and one of your dogs is dead and the other one isn't well, and because of that, I grew up in New York City. I
yeah,
don't know shit about farming.
yeah, yeah,
Like
yeah,
I don't know shit about like how to the dogs and all that kind of stuff. So the story I'm making up, I just want to make sure I'm understanding it
yeah,
correctly, is one of your dogs is dead, the other one's unwell, and you're like, I have a choice here. Either I need to get new dogs, train them up, like it's a whole kind of
yeah.
starting over process, or maybe there's something else I go do now since this is like an interruption in the path that I was on. Have I understood that more or
Yeah,
less?
that's right. Yeah, I suppose you call it an interruption. I could still do my work, but it was just a turning point, like
Mm,
call it a turning point. 'Cause if the dogs had
mm,
died or got sick, I wouldn't have left. So then I'd think,
mm,
I go to, because I heard a lot of Kiwis, farm boys and that going to England to do the OE. I didn't really
yeah.
know what OE meant, but it was just like, I heard some cool stories. I thought, I want to go and do that. So I was 18, 18 just going on 19. And
And coming from Sinirozzo,
yeah,
a
yeah,
pub and a school,
yeah.
and going to London,
Yeah, London by myself. Yes, man. Yeah, yeah.
what was it like?
Oh, yeah. It was, but I wasn't intimidated by anything like that. It was interesting. I was more worried about, honestly, I was more worried about not being able to read the signs and thinking I might get lost on the plane. But I'm thinking far out of no, not until I think now, because I'm quite experienced in traveling. You just follow the line, like you don't have to read nothing, because our stopover with I flew with Cathay Pacific, and then our stopover was in Hong Kong. So I was like, man, this is big, and I hadn't even been to Auckland at that time, so like I went from riding horses every day, all day, like sitting in the saddle for like 8 to 10 hours, to getting on the plane and from Wellington and flying to Auckland, and then off to London. Yeah, so it's a big culture shock. Living in London, I met a cousin that, so like they said, oh, you're going to catch these tubes and you need to go to this address. And, like navigation, there's no, like Google Maps or anything like that.
What year was this?
There was 1996.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah. So, I didn't even have a mobile phone till I was 20. But yeah, anyway, yeah, massive culture shock, but awesome. It was a holiday. Literally, I used it as a holiday, and but I'm one of those guys not holiday too much because I just sold my truck and I got sort of $7,000 for it. And I'm thinking, I'm not taking it all over there. So I put the money in the bank and all I took over was £500. Because in my head, I'm thinking, don't be a lazy prick. Once you get over there, once you spend that money or get close to spending the money, then go to work, So that's just how I operate, So I'll get over there and do a little bit of touristy stuff. Actually, no, I didn't do any touristy stuff. I went to London for 1 week and I thought, man, this is this is a bit busy for me. So I had a contact to go and work for a farmer, work on a farm up in Scotland. So I went up there and worked up there for like a month. And then, I thought, so did a bit of farming. So I'm thinking, I can't come all the way over here and bloody do farming. I can do this at home and in a better way. So went to Pamplona running with the bulls, did a little bit of the touristy stuff, and then am I talking too much here?
You're doing so well. I love this story, and also I love the way you tell stories. Like I find it as so mesmerizing. You mentioned right at the beginning when you said, I grew up shepherd, and then the dog died, and the other dog was sick, and I decided to do my OE, and that's how I got into boxing. And I feel like it's like a bunch of magic happened in between. Like, so you're in Scotland farming, you're in Pamplona running with the bulls.
Yeah.
How do you get into boxing?
Yes, that's a good question. So my grandfather, boxed out of Wellington. He's a Scottish. He come over to New Zealand when he was 7 years old on the boat. So he was boxing on the boat when they were coming over, the 3-month trip or whatever it is on the boat, but stationed in Wellington. And he boxed in the he had 120 amateur fights boxing out of Wellington. So I was always inspired by listening to his boxing stories. But where I come from, as you know, I come from cows, sheep, horses. There was no boxing club in Gisborne, and that was, even if there was, I wouldn't be able to get there because it's an hour and a half to get to town. So it was just, it was tricky. So, but I'm inspired by my grandfather. So I'm in England, spent like 6 months getting on the piss, and and I was always been a bit of a, I don't back down to no one, and when alcohol was involved, you think you get a little bit tougher, the Poms like to fight, so like some weekends would be, actually most weekends would be fights. But it's interesting, boxing really gave me the respect that I needed for fighting. I didn't know how to fight, but and definitely I wouldn't have known how to fight, but I didn't back down to some of the guys. And then I'm watching some boxing one Sunday, and I'm thinking, man, I want to give that sport a go, inspired by my grandfather. Mm. So within a couple of days, I found a local boxing club. There's one to go this way, an hour this way, another one to go about 45 minutes this way. I went the shortest route. I went there and just walked into this gym, and it was like a dark, dingy gym. I'm thinking, this is me. And this coach comes over, English guy, bald head. He goes, all right, son, all right, boy, what you want to do, boy? You want to learn how to box? I'm like, yeah, I want to learn how to box. He goes, well, get over there and start skipping. So I go over there, start skipping. Skipping is so important with boxing, away you go. And I think, this is me. So, that's how I started. So I started 3 months before my 20th birthday. And I had my first amateur fight, on the week of my 20th birthday. So 3 months of training, and was a good night for me. But nerves, the nerves, man, it's just something else. I played rugby to sort of like senior level, but nothing to that high thing. I didn't really do much training, just turned up, and like boxing was like just next level. It was just like, man, this is crazy sport. But I loved it. I loved it because the rugby, it's a team sport, and I like to win, and sometimes you don't win the game because you might miss a tackle, might miss a kick, or your mate might miss a tackle, miss a kick, or someone got no reason, and you lose. And I think, man, that sucks, but with boxing, if you lose, then there's a reason why you lost. You may be not good enough, or not fit enough, or you don't have enough skill, so that was why I was really attracted to the sport of boxing. I didn't really care about getting hit in the face because I don't care about that anyway. But like, it was just more like, man, this is a game of chess.
Yes.
Yeah.
Do you know what the way that I think about boxing, the way I describe it is, it's like playing chess while people are throwing lawn chairs at you.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like it requires all of your mental capacity and all of your physical capacity, and there's no room for any like, did I leave the stove on or
Yeah.
whatever. Like there's no room for like, oh, what am I going to do about like, how am I going to pay the rent next week? Is like when you're in the
Yeah.
middle of it,
Yes.
there is not room for anything else other than being in the middle of it.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
Can we come back to your so what I heard you say is you're spending 6 months in the UK, going out on the piss reasonably regularly,
Yeah.
not being a boxer yet, but training in a way
Yeah.
through some maybe scrappiness
Yeah.
of a weekend or of an evening, and then you start boxing. And what happened to that, Shane?
I just, yeah, just never had it. My last fight would have been like 1998, and then it's the last time I had a fight outside the ring. So just
Mm,
like I just knew, I picked the sport up pretty fast. I went from drinking 6 nights a week to training 6 nights a week, and just training super
mm,
fit, super strong, and just overtook a lot of people real fast. And yeah, and then I had respect for the sport, and I had no
mm.
reason to try and prove myself no more. You
Yeah.
know, yeah. So just never had any inkling to try and pick a fight. Interesting, eh? Yeah, and sometimes I still, but like I'd go from not drinking for like 3 or 4 months at a time and just fully focusing. Man, it just, and even when I did drink, I was still good anyway. I didn't try and fight or anything like that. So it just really just switch my brain. Just shows you. I think a lot of the people that do fight in the pubs and all that sort of stuff is because they're trying to prove something, maybe trying to prove they're a little bit tougher than their mate or something, or they can't handle the alcohol. I don't know, but once I started boxing, I'm thinking, man, I got nothing to prove, man. I got everything to gain.
Can I pick up on that? Because the thing I'm always the most fascinated by what goes on in our brains, in our hearts, in our like that kind of emotional journey.
Yeah,
And I hear you say you start boxing. So first of all, one of the things that people have said to me many times, and I don't know if they've said it to you because you already give the appearance of being so physically capable, but maybe because as a female boxer,
yeah,
people didn't get that impression as much. Like I've had so many people say to me, "Oh, I wouldn't want to pick a fight with you," and my response to that has always been like, "Well, I wouldn't ever want to fight. Like I'm good in a ring with rules and a ref, but like it's a totally different thing having a street fight or a scrap. So recognizing those two different things. If I were ever in a street fight, I'd be like gouge eyes, like
yeah.
just go feral, right? But also, there's a thing there of, changing from drinking alcohol to not drinking alcohol. And I heard you say, you got super fit and healthy and you didn't need the street fights anymore. I'm curious about not drinking when you stopped drinking alcohol, in addition to the effect it had on your physical well-being, what changed for you emotionally, if anything, or mentally, like for your, mental health or the way your
Oh,
mind worked?
when I stopped, I still drunk after that. Is that what you mean? Like you meaning
Yep.
me stop?
Yeah.
Yeah, mental.
Like, did it have any impact on your kind of your mental state, I guess, when you stopped drinking alcohol to be able to be training?
Um, no, not that I recall.
Okay.
But yeah.
Doesn't have to. It was a
Yeah,
curiosity that
yeah,
I had.
meant to say no, no, no. I was just gonna say, me just like just because I was really quiet. I was really quiet. I was gonna say, it just gave me more confidence. Like even though I know I can
Mhm,
handle myself, but you don't use it in that way. But I don't know. You just hold yourself better. You stand
mhm,
taller, you chest out, and you shake people's hands. You look in their eyes, and you know what you're about. Like and just
mhm,
years of that and. Because I thought, like I said to you before, I thought I was a dumb kid in school. When people talk about schooling, because everyone went to bloody university or college in England, and I was just like, and I was, like, I didn't go to no school or anything like that. So when they have conversations around the table about their schooling and, what university do you go to? I'm thinking, oh, don't talk to me about that. I was just and I'm just going, my face is just going red. But it was not till like years later, like 10 years later, I can laugh about it. But at the time, I was just like, "Fuck!" It's not even about that. But I just didn't have the confidence to how to deal with it. And now I just
mhm,
laugh. I just go, "Oh mate, freaking hell!" I didn't even go to like I'm freely talking about in my motivational speaks and talk. I talk about my education, which and I just go, man, this education ain't for everyone. Lucky my mum did
mhm,
my schoolwork for me, but like, yeah, as long as you got a goal and you're prepared to work hard, mate, academic stuff, you can work on that if you choose to, and I have done. But I'm definitely no scholar, but I just make the right decisions. I work hard and surround myself with good people. You know, there's a lot that can happen around those values, eh?
I love that description that you have of you know what you're about,
Yeah.
and that shift from like from I'm fighting in the pub with something to prove to I don't have anything that I have to prove to anybody. And I really just want to repeat the shout out to your mom. One of the phrases, the sayings that we refer to all the time in my company in Boma, is it's attributed to Einstein. I have no idea whether Einstein said it, but the saying is everybody is a genius, but if you judge a fish by its ability to climb a tree, it will spend its entire life believing that it is stupid. And, clearly you have a genius, and the genius might not look like going to university. It expresses itself in other ways.
Mm.
And that shout out to your mom for going, actually, I don't need your genius to look like what other people's genius looks like. I need to give you space to express your own genius the way
Mm.
that you can.
Yeah, yeah, that's cool, eh?
Nice one, Mom. Is she still
Yeah.
with us?
Yeah, she is. Yeah, she is. So I'll have to get her
Good on you. I hope she's listening.
Yeah, no. She's unique on mum, in a good way. Love her to bits, and mum and dad still together, and she needs a bloody meal to be able to stay with that fella for that long anyway. He's a bit crazy like
But it
me.
sounds like it sounds like you got a ton from both of them, right? Like I hear you say your dad saying, like don't shoot your mouth,
Yeah,
keep your head down,
yeah,
do your work. Like,
yeah.
yeah, like beautiful gifts from both your parents.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Well, that's the only way you can think. Like we had a hard upbringing, all our brothers, but like we've done exceptionally well. Um,
How many are you?
collective. There's four of us. There's
Hmm.
four of us. We got a half brother.
Hmm.
But then there's with dad, there's three of us. Yeah, there's three of us. So again, the same values. We all work hard. Working hard, and the other boys are a bit more maybe better at schooling than I was, but still they just make the right decisions. They surround themselves with good people, and they work hard. They work hard, and it inspires me too. Because sometimes you just fall back into your own thing, and I'm thinking, I'm around, those two, and they just work. They work harder than me. I think I work hard, but I used to work. I felt like I used to work a lot harder. But I suppose I do work. I don't know. You just got to work hard. You got to work. Nothing comes for free. I always say nothing comes for free, man. And if you get something for free, you probably don't respect it anyway, because you haven't earned it. So yeah. But
Awesome. Okay, so back to working hard. So you get into the gym, first fight, 20th birthday. Then
yeah,
what happens?
yeah. So I had that, and so in the UK, it's like my first fight was actually I was they have their national, like in the US they have the Golden Gloves, in New Zealand you have the Nationals Championships, and then in the England they have the ABA. So there's ABA, which is a senior one. There's a novice one, which I was still a senior, but it was a novice, so under 10 fights. So my first fight was competing at the novice ABA championships. So I won that one, and then I could represent my region, which was the Southern Counties area, and then you go and beat all the other. You keep going through all their counties, so it doesn't happen over one weekend. Does the one in the States happen over one weekend or over a long period of time?
When I did, it's probably changed now, but when I did it, it was just one
One,
one
yeah.
weekend.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah.
So in England it's in New Zealand it's one weekend too, but in England it's every weekend. So you win, you go. So I represented the Southern Counties, then I'd go in the West, then I go and fight the Western Counties champion. I beat him, then I go fight the other counties, and then so I ended up having five fights. Five fights. The first one I got beaten in the semi-finals, and the second time I did it the following year, which I was still sat in under the 10 belts, and I beat the Liverpool champion. So I was number one in the novice section. Yeah, so so I had 24 fights in the UK, 20 wins, 4 losses, and then I was talking to my brother. So I suppose when we talk about turning points, I was talking to my brother. He's a butcher. He was a butcher in in Livin at the time. And he said, hey, why don't you come home and see if you can qualify for the Commonwealth Games team, New Zealand? I said, oh, can I do that? He's like, yeah. And I've been in England just short of 5 years at that time, so I've been there a while. I had 24 fights there with 20 wins, 4 losses. And I got as high as ranked as number 3. And, they had a big system over there with the ranking system. And anyway, so I'm like, oh, yeah. So, oh, I might come home. So within a month, same thing with the dog dying. Within a month, when I set my mind on something, I sold what I had. I had quite a lot because I've been there a long time. Sold my truck and all my tools, and I worked as a landscape gardener, so it was outdoor work, physical work, and and then come home and started the process of qualifying for the Commonwealth Games team.
Talk to me about the Commonwealth Games. So I know the outcome,
Yeah,
right? I know you got bronze at the Commonwealth. Talk to me about the experience, the fights you had, like
yeah,
what happened there? What did you learn there?
yeah. So that was back in Manchester. That was in 2002. We did a stint in Georgia. Actually, we did a training camp in Georgia, so that was cool to spar some US fighters. And then we went to the Commonwealth Games. So the first fight, and I didn't do the opening ceremony because I heard rumors that you're on your feet a long time. I think, man, I'm not here to do the opening ceremony. I'm here to win. So just stayed at the wherever we're staying. My first fight, I fought the Nigerian champ. And I beat him in 2 rounds, and then I fought the Jamaican, and then I stopped them in the last round, and then I fought the Canadian in the semi-finals. So by that time, I'd already guaranteed a bronze medal just because of how the amateur thing goes. There's 2 bronze medalists and a silver and a gold, and
So you don't have a playoff. You don't have a playoff
Nah,
bout.
no, you don't
Yeah.
have a playoff. Yeah, it's always
Mm,
like, the Olympics, same thing. You always get 2 Commonwealth Games. Yeah, because there's
mm,
2 sides of the draw, and then they don't have a
mm,
playoff. Yeah, that's a good point. Um,
mm.
and then so the first 2 fights I felt good. Did everything right, and then the semi-finals against the Canadian. Uh, Man, I was so nervous. So, like, because like I said to you at the start, like, boxing's so nerve-wracking, and it can either make you or break you. Nerves can get on top of you, and then all of a sudden you feel lethargic and all those things. So I'm at the back. They're warming up, and because like it went from like the first fight in the Nigerian, the crowds were smaller, and as the rounds went on, the crowds got bigger. The semi-finals was like in a big stadium. It was like felt like 10,000 people. It was probably starting to be 4,000 or 5,000 people. It was a lot for an amateur event. We used to fighting in front of 200 people or something in New Zealand. And I went out there, just everything was heavy, and the guy, I was traditionally a slow starter, and he just got on top of me, and I lost in 15 points. So as an amateur back then, the scoring was, if your opponent got 15 points ahead of you, they would stop the fight. And I didn't get knocked out or get dropped or anything, but like it was just like tick, that's 1 point, tick, that's no point, tick, there's no point. Yeah, so I lost to the Canadian. He went through and won the gold, and and then
Do you remember his name?
Jason Douglas. Jason Douglas.
We never forget, eh?
Yeah, Jason Douglas. Because I did a bit of research on. He actually went to jail after that for manslaughter, something like that. Yeah, because I was, man, if he turns pro, I want to fight him as a pro. But he turned pro and did a very average career. Yeah, so he kind of done time for that long, because he did. Yeah, he still had I looked up his record, and very average, very average. But in the fight game.
So can I ask?
Yeah, sorry. Yeah.
I just want to ask you about that, because I hear you say about the nerves.
Yeah.
And like I'll tell you, so when I went to National Golden Gloves, I got there and I was like, I came to play. Like this
Yeah.
is like you're saying, right? Like you
Yeah.
never go into the ring thinking, I
Yeah.
hope I win. You're going
Yeah.
like, I'm here to do my work. And my first bout was like, I just sized her up immediately. She was like sitting next to me at the, check-in or whatever. And I was just
Yeah.
like, done.
Yeah.
And like, I just like mowed through these people. And then I got to the final, and as you know, we're coming up through the draw, right? Like through the different kind of groups. And so what would happen is the other group would go, I think, before me most days. And I deliberately didn't watch any of it because I'm like, I'm just focused on what's my job right in front of me right now, right? And so the woman who I ended up fighting in the final, she's coming up through the other group, and I'm not really watching those fights. I'm just sort of getting it in the periphery. And in my mind, as we went through the week, by the time we got to the final, I had built, she was like 8 feet tall with arms that were like, a meter long each. Like it was just in my mind, she was like this massive. I remember her name just like you do. Her name was Joy Lou. And I lost that fight before I ever stepped in the ring. Like I just
Yeah,
really had in my head gone, all the stuff that I had done previously in the week where I was like, let's go, you're in my
yeah,
house now. It was the complete opposite. And I'm curious because when you talk about those nerves and the difference, like the people and whatever, like what was your kind of mental experience of that with your guy?
yeah, yeah. I never felt nerves like it, apart from my
Oh,
first fight, my first amateur fight,
oh,
and my second time was then, which would have been my 24th fight later. And I'm like, oh man, this is like, like I think, oh, just back yourself and do those things. But like, yeah, I don't think I definitely wasn't as strong mentally as what I've become further down the track as I got more experience. But not that I, never showed any weakness, but just, yeah, it didn't help. Slow starter, and just, yeah, he was hot to trot. He was hot to trot,
oh,
and when you talk about that mindset, and I'll bring up when I was talking with Mike Tyson, and we talked about I don't know how we got talking, but he said, man, he goes, man, I remember I was at a weigh-in, and he goes, this is him as an amateur. He goes, I'm at a weigh-in. He goes, man, I look at my opponent. He goes, fuck, he looked blacker than me. He looked bigger than me. He looked stronger than me. He goes, but deep down after a while, I know he was shitting himself just as much as I was. So when I heard that, I was like, fuck, man, man, Mike Tyson can get nervous and scared. And then as time goes on, I know it's just human nature, because you just, you're bloody man, especially in the fight game, you're going out to battle, eh?
yeah. So what did you learn from that experience from the Commonwealth Games?
Um, I suppose experience, right? And then further down the track with the nerves, because I always got the nerves, but never too heavy. But then I was just going, man, how? And then I actually had the fight with David Tour. Um, Many years later, I was not even nervous. Zero
Mm.
nerves, absolutely zero nerves. One of the biggest fights of my career.
Talk to me
Zero.
about the run up to that fight.
Yeah, just like far out. Like, but I think because it just like I totally respected him, da da da. And then I didn't respect him. It was promoted as strictly business. And then it got personal. I said things that I never normally say. He had some shots at me, and then I just wanted to take care of business with him, like. But what I did lose then was the respect that I should have had for him, the respect for
Mm.
his punching power and his ability to knock people out at any time. So I don't know. I'm not a clinical psychologist or anything like that, man. I'm just like, all I know, and it was before the fight, before the ding, ding, ding in the change room, I'm going, man, I feel pretty good. I feel good. But when you're not nervous, see, when I said at the Commonwealth Games or some of the fights I had, when you're nervous, sometimes you can be too nervous and it takes your energy away, but you still need those nerves to try and balance those nerves out. And to balance those nerves out, because when you're nervous, you're sharper, you're more sharper. But if you're too nervous,
Mhm.
then you're fatigued, and you know what I'm saying. So you need to find that balance, and it's hard to find that balance. I've had the balance where I've been too nervous. Everything's heavy. Every time I throw two or three punches, I'm tired. That's too nervous. So I pulled myself back, and then went all the way too far back, and then all of a sudden I'm not nervous. So, and I don't know why. I'm just saying maybe just because I didn't respect them enough. I don't know. I'm just throwing things out there, but then it didn't work for me. I was just too relaxed. I went out there and I'm thinking, I could just have a beer with them. I didn't have no anger with them. I didn't like looking at them. I'm thinking, oh, fuck, I don't feel that good. Just like, but I wasn't nervous. I was like, yeah, yeah. I don't know. I don't know. That was a fight that, anyway. That
I'd
was,
love to give a little context again for the folks listening who might not be as familiar with that
yeah,
fight. This was billed, and please correct me wherever I
yeah.
go astray here or jump in to provide more context. So this was billed as the fight of the century. When was this fight?
2009.
2009. So billed as the fight of the century. It was like one of the, I think often in New Zealand, we don't see the kind of hype for things that we see in the US or, in other countries. But this fight all out in terms of that hype. And my understanding is that you were, and jump in here. I don't want to put any words in your mouth. My understanding is that you were encouraged to play into that hype. Is that a fair understanding?
Yeah. Yeah. Yes. Yes.
And then when you talk about like that shift away from like respecting him sufficiently, like what happened? What happened there in terms of being encouraged to play into that hype, and how that played out that was different to previous fights that you've had?
Yeah. Yes. Because the promoter said to me earlier on, I was starting to talk, because really you can talk, but it was coming across as confidence, I'm going to take care of business, I'm going to stop David and do things that no one else has ever done. But like, that was like, and then the promoter said, "Oh, if you talk it up, that'll be good. That's good what you're doing, Shane." And then I'm thinking what I should have done was say, okay, you pay me more money and I'll talk it up, because it created it, and I can 100% say that fight would never have been as that big if it wasn't for my big mouth at times, for shooting it off and talking it up, because then it just divided the country. Like who's going to support me? Who's going to support David? I'm like, fucking stupid that I did that, because it just put more pressure on me and drove David to train harder and want to take care of business on me. And, I still got paid the same. And, but sometimes you learn the hard way, eh? You learn the hard way. And, I've never conducted myself like that before, and I definitely got wrapped up in the whole promotion. But I still trained hard and did everything that I normally do. But yeah, and then it got promoted as, it was strictly business, and then it did get personal. Because I knew David, we lived with each other, when I first turned professional. When I first turned professional, we lived in the same house in Las Vegas. When he fought Hasim Ruckman for the second time, and I was only a pup. So he's there. He'd already fought Lennox Lewis, and I hadn't even had a pro fight. So yeah, and then we sort of split up. The team split up, and then he went his way, which he didn't fight for years. And then his first fight comeback was to me, And when I fought in Christchurch, and I when I called him out after the fight. I thought, man, this would be quite good to get no one, because no one really knew who I was. I was sort of starting to make waves, and everyone knew who David was. I think, there might be a fight that'll happen down the track, and he didn't take the bait anyway, So, but yeah, as time goes on, as time went on, the fight got more exciting, and it makes the dollars, And then all of a sudden, David's, yeah, okay, let's take this fight then. Let's take this fight. So, yeah.
It sounds like your promoter was encouraging you in the opposite direction of what your dad had always told you. Like your
Yeah.
dad told you, keep your head down, don't shoot your mouth off, do your
Mm.
work. And your promoter was like, shoot your mouth off. It's going to be better for business.
Yeah,
And
I know.
maybe that's just not you.
Nah. And you talk about my dad and my parents, and I didn't really click until actually recently, like what pressure they would have been put under. And my brothers, like they're hard working, they're butcheries, and like they would have got so much shit. I still get a lot of shit, not as much now, but on social media, you big mouth, I'm thinking, fucking hell. I was like, well, it's just, so put pressure on them, because they got to deal with the public. They're serving customers, and they know who their brother is, so that was fucking, that was, oh shit, stink, like, because, but at the time, I'm just worried about me. I'm worried about me, making sure I'm taking, but I don't actually think about the people that are around me supporting me, and the backlash that they'll get, and so, yeah, so I didn't really consider that at the time, just, like a good point that you make, Dad, I did outside what Dad taught us to do. Don't shoot your mouth off, boy. Don't say you're good at this and good at that. Just do it. Actions speak louder than words.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that you have the fight with David Tueff, does not go the way you're hoping it's going to go. Obviously, following fight is your world title fight with
Mm.
Danny Green.
Mm.
Talk to me about that.
Yeah. So, like you're only as good as your last fight. So I had a couple other fights. I fought after David. I fought another heavyweight fight, and then there was talk of me fighting Danny Green. But Danny Green's one division below. He's a cruiserweight, so I had to lose like 14 kilos to get down. And it wasn't really happening. I had 4 or 5 cruiserweight fights, and I won them all. I won the Commonwealth title, and but I don't think it was captivating enough for Danny Green. Yeah, and then David Tua fought Monty Barrett, and David lost to Monty Barrett, and my manager was at the fight. And I spoke with him straight after, and he goes, "You want this fight, Shane?" I go, "Make it happen. Make it happen." Excuse me. So that fight was on, me against Monty Barrett, and that was a big fight because, people, I was the major underdog. Because they're like, how the hell can you beat the guy who beat you? David Tour got beaten by Monty Barrett, and you got fucking iced by David Tour. How do you think you can win? No one actually said that to me, but I know that would have been in their heads because that's just how the game works. That I'm thinking, I'll show you motherfuckers what I'm capable of doing. That's what in my head. So I train us because, it's just timing. It's on the day. It's on the, like, not disrespecting David Tour. He's a man. He's a beast. But it's just on the night too, man. It's on the night. If everything's flowing, the timing is good, and the timing went. I had a good training camp. I spent some time sparring David Hay in the UK, and they got me in the best shape possible. So when I come back, man, fighting Monty Barrett was one of my easiest fights that I had. Just the timing was on, everything, and then iced him in round 4. So that brought me back, and then that got my world title shot. So me winning that, Danny Green's like, yeah, I'll fight Shane now. You know what I mean? Because the profile lifted for me more, and then all of a sudden, I signed the contract to fight for a world title. So that's how the world title fight happened, and I fell short with that one. But
Tell me about it.
Yeah, it was a tough night at the office. That one definitely.
Yeah, what happened?
Losing the weight, really, really, man. I was just a skin and bone, eh? I felt good leading into the fight and all that sort of stuff, but just having to drop that excess weight, I had to drop 14 kilos in total, and I did. I'm not going to sit here and make excuses, definitely not. But it was just, it took its toll. It took its toll after the first year. I don't remember the fight, and I've never watched the fight. But Danny Green's a tremendous fighter. Can't take nothing away from him. He's a former 4-time world champion. For no, but not by fluke, But yeah,
like you say, you have to show respect. Yeah.
Oh, of course.
What was it like for you after?
Yeah, I was actually quite emotional, because I'm not an emotional guy. I don't cry, but fuck, I cried after the fight, on my dad's shoulder, because I didn't know what to do, and then it really affected my head after that fight. I really struggled with depression, and I was in bed. I felt like I was in bed for 6 months. My brain was just recovering. I seen a neuropsychologist and a speech therapist. Now I was really struggling, and so it just took a bit of time. And I didn't want to retire. They didn't want to retire then, and in hindsight, it's a good thing, eh? In hindsight, I think I should have pulled pin in. That was the end of me, But I thought, no, I don't want to finish on, I want to finish on the high, I want to finish on the victory. And then a fight happened with American guy, I can't remember his name now. Yeah, and then a little bit of an injury, but like in my head, I've got a strong head, like I back myself. And I wasn't quite right for that fight, but like, man, I'll still take care of business with this guy. I can still beat this guy. Like, now the guy beat me and stopped me, and I don't even know what round. Again, I haven't watched that fight. That was like, heartache. So, yeah. Oh, yeah. So, I struggled with depression after the Danny Green fight, and then I started to recover. Maybe a year later. It was actually literally a year later, and then I fought. What's his name? I can't remember. Brian Minto fought an American guy, and then so I got cleared to fight him, and then I fought him, and then I wasn't that good after that fight, and I was like, right, no, I don't want to finish on 2 losses. I've never lost two losses. I never had 2 losses in my life. I've never had 3 losses in a row in my life. So it's a stupid bloody way of thinking anyway, So had my I picked the last one after I seen speech therapists again and all that sort of stuff, putting my body under so much fucking pressure and trauma, So Yeah, I said, oh, I promoted. As a part of the promotion, I thought I'll put pressure on myself to make sure I do everything, which I normally do anyway. But just want to make sure. And I was genuine too. I said, if I lose this fight, I'll retire. And I picked a really hard fight. Carly Meehan, former world title challenger, fucking big unit, 6'5", big bugger. But I've known him. I've known him. I sparred probably 100 rounds with him. So I knew what I was getting myself in for, I knew what I was in for, and I was thinking, I'll still edge him. I'll still edge him, but no, he beat me on points. It was a tough night at the office, and so that was it. That was it. Done. No more for me.
First of all, thank you for sharing that about your experience following the world title bout. You said I heard you say it took time, 6 months, a year. I heard you say you also saw a neuropsych. Uh, could you talk, what kind of support did you get? What kind of like mental shift happened for you to come out of that depression following that fight?
Mm. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. I don't. Yeah, I don't feel I'm the same person. I don't feel I'm the same person. The same. I don't know. I can say that, but I don't really know how to explain it.
Hmm.
Um, I'm definitely more emotional now. More emotional
Hmm.
now. From fucking probably being punched in the head for so many years. I don't know. But it's interesting. Like, and I always think, oh man, my memory's getting worse and da da da. But like, I've got a lot of things going on. But still, and only because people tell me, go, man, don't be hard on yourself. You got so much stuff going on, and ADHD. So like, man, I'm always like, oh, something else new, or trying to do all these sort of things. But yeah, yeah, I don't know. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. What was your question anyway? It was about something, yeah.
Uh, I'll pick up on the more emotional bit. And I know you, I mean, you do a ton of stuff now. You've got a gym, you've got a bunch of businesses. I know you also do, some coaching. I'm curious about how those experiences, the wins, the losses, understanding depression, understanding, showing up in a more emotional way. I'm curious about how that influences the way you show up when you're coaching others. Like,
Yeah,
are you basically, has it shaped a little bit the way that
yeah.
you engage with people when you coach them, and
Oh,
how?
yeah, yeah. I don't do too much coaching now. I
Mm.
don't do any coaching in terms of training fighters, but I coach I do my accredited boxing course that I
Hmm.
deliver around the country. So that's the only coaching I do.
Hmm.
So yeah, knowledge, man. I got to. So it's really, I really dive in because, like I said right at the start of this, whatever I do, I always want to do my very best, and I always do the extras and do the hard yards and do all that stuff, and nothing changes, whether it's fighting or delivering a course, it's my own course, and same, I got a boxing brand, Counterpunch, so I make sure that's all tip top, man. I want to have the best gear, better than anyone else. I want to be the best, deliver the best coaching courses because I should do because I've had, I've been in the game 20 years and I know a lot more than most, so doesn't mean I'm the best coach, but I've got a lot of experience and, I come from the emotional side or come from the experience side, and I'm a good, I think I'm a good storyteller about, but turn that into teaching, or don't even acknowledge why I'm teaching you this because of this happened. But then some scenarios I'll say, certain things by like, when you throw a hook, throw it with your thumb facing up, or as opposed to thumb facing in. I said for the simple reason I punched like this for many years as an amateur, but then I always got damaged in here because when you're throwing a hook like that, it's only like those two knuckles landing. Because for those four knuckles to land, well, then your hand's got to be pretty close to you, So when you reach out, then I damaged those two knuckles, and it got really sore, and it was affecting my training. And I'm thinking, no one told me anything. Then I'm going, oh, I'm going to turn it to this way. So as soon as I turned it this way, biomechanically, I got more power and started knocking people out, and I didn't damage my hands. So that would be like how I coach something and then explain without getting too boring for them, but like there'd be a reason for most things. But yeah, I suppose.
Shane, can I just reflect back to you just a tiny bit? Like, I've loved this conversation so much, and I love your story. You are a fantastic storyteller. You're absolutely right. The people who get to learn from you are lucky to get to learn from you. And I love how open and kind of matter of fact you are about everything you've been through.
Yeah.
And when I hear that matter of factness, what I hear is this kind of acceptance of like, some things went great, some things went shitty. I was good at this, I was not as good at that. I learned this, I didn't, like there's just a thing there that for me, and I feel like for the folks listening, potentially creates an opportunity for people to go, oh, I struggled with this. That doesn't mean that,
Mm.
I need to
Yeah.
quit or think badly of myself, or, I tried to do this and it didn't turn out the way I was hoping. And then I was really upset afterwards. And that's a normal thing for humans to go through because we want to achieve and we aspire, we aspire to certain things. And when they don't come off, we can struggle with that. That's okay that we struggle with that and life will continue to go on. And so
Yeah.
I feel like just the way that you show up and tell your story is so inspiring and like just creates permission for other people to go on their own, up and
Mm.
down and
Yeah.
sideways journeys as well.
Yeah, yeah, thank you for that. Yeah, and you sort of triggered. So I mean, that's sort of I'm writing a book at the moment, and my I didn't think I was worthy of writing a book, but then when we started writing and then what's going to be in, it, I'm thinking, oh, that's actually quite because I wanted to just show that you don't have to be a scholar to be able to do well in life. As long as you're willing to do the work. If you're not willing to do the work in anything, well, unfortunately, you're not going to achieve much. But you got to push yourself outside your comfort zone. You got to challenge yourself, and when you're pushing yourself outside your comfort zone, when you're challenging yourself with new things that you haven't done, well, then you're going to fail. You're going to have little hiccups and all that, but that's all good. Just dust yourself off and just keep going. Like I thought I was the dumbest kid in school, but like I wanted to get better at e-commerce because I sell my products online, a lot of my products. So I did an e-commerce course. I couldn't even read half the time, but like I learned so much. Persevered with it for 16 weeks, and like yes, that's me stepping massively outside my comfort zone. So yeah, I just want to show that, man, kids out there, man, you can still achieve big things, man, as long as you're willing. We all have setbacks, eh? That's all part of life, So if you
Yep.
get setbacks, yeah, dust yourself off and, and away you go. It's not how you fall, eh? It's how you rise. It's not how you fall. We all fall, but it's how you rise. Most importantly, how you rise.
What a beautiful place to end this conversation on.
Yeah.
Shane, thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for taking the time to chat with me. I have loved our conversation. I can't wait to share it with the world.
Thank you, Kyla. Appreciate it.
Thank you so much for listening. I loved talking to Shane. Actually, I love listening to Shane. I love the way he talks, just so honest and unfiltered and so himself. There's no pretense at all. And also, it never occurred to me how challenging it would be to travel overseas if you struggle to read, especially how challenging it would have been pre-smartphone. Like, wow, that guy just overcame everything. And I love his parents, that his mom accepted him for who he is and didn't push him to be great at something he was never going to be great at. And that brilliant advice from his dad, don't shoot your bloody mouth off, boy, you just do your best. It's clear to me that Shane took that to heart and continues to live by those words today. A huge thank you to celebrity speakers for their support of this episode. If you want to book Shane Cameron and get his humility, his wisdom, his insight, his humor, his storytelling, if you want him to inspire your audience, celebrity speakers are the folks to reach out to get him on board. Thanks again for listening. Please do let me know your feedback. You can reach me on hello@kylacolbin.com. And thank you for liking, subscribing, following, all the things you do to tell the algorithm that you are enjoying the podcast that lets us keep making it, getting better and better guests, and bringing you the best shows we can. Thanks again. See you next week. Hunger and Heart is brought to you by the Crusaders Leadership Programme. Whether you're coaching under fives or a professional team, we all want the same thing: to build a culture of trust, to get the best out of your people, and to grow players into leaders. The Crusaders Leadership Program lets you get up close and personal with some of the greatest rugby legends of all time. People like Sir Wayne Smith, Sam Whitelock, Kieran Reid. You'll connect with a global group of ambitious, caring coaches from a range of codes and backgrounds. And most importantly, you'll gain skills and techniques to drive impact and outcomes for your team. The Crusaders Leadership Program is a 2-week high-intensity virtual experience. It is delivered exclusively online, accessible from anywhere. Hunger and Heart listeners get 10% off the full price of the program. Use the code HUNGER at checkout. You can find out more about the Crusaders Leadership Program at crusadersleadership.com. That's crusadersleadership.com. Hunger and Heart is created by BOMA and the entire BOMA team, including Tito Bernal, Ray Jangle, Hannah Hudson, Johanna Coxon, Sunil Unka, and me, Kyla Colbin. Thanks for listening.